Where is this privilege conversation coming from? Caitlin Clark is exercising some kind of white privilege within the league.
Caitlin Clark apologized for being white. Yes, you heard that right. In a recent statement that's making waves, Caitlin Clark, the basketball sensation and WNBA rookie, acknowledged her white privilege. But the real question is, should she have apologized for something she had no control over?
Yes, she's finally spoken up about the elephant in the room, which is her whiteness. It is the reason she is where she is.
Is it necessary for Caitlin to admit that her success is somehow due to her race, when it's clear her talent is what's gotten her to the top? And why, after all her hard work and merit, does she feel the need to make this public statement at all? Let's break it down. Now, Caitlin has always been a star, showing up to every game with unmatched skills and dedication, proving she belongs in the WNBA. But suddenly, her recognition goes beyond just her incredible performances. The talk of her privilege feels like a shot in the dark when you look at her accomplishments.
And of course, when we look at the WNBA and its recent history, the views have been up, the fans have been up, and largely because of Caitlin Clark.
Sure, Caitlin's had her fair share of battles on and off the court, especially with players like Angel Reese and Aja Wilson, who might not be too happy to see her shining so brightly. But when Caitlin makes this statement about white privilege, it just doesn't sit right with many of us who know her story is all about merit and breaking barriers.
She's received. A lot of the controversy that she finds herself in has to do with other players on the team having a problem with her being white and her having that merit and value that she is now bringing to the Indiana Fever.
Let's not forget, Caitlin Clark is in the minority in a predominantly black league where 67% of players are African American. So why does Caitlin feel the need to apologize for being white when her success in the WNBA is a direct result of her relentless work ethic and performance?
If we look at the WNBA, and I think we have a 67% black makeup of the league. So we're talking about a predominantly black female league with the WNBA.
Some argue that this statement is more about fitting into the narrative of the current political climate than it is about her actual experiences as a player. This isn't the Caitlin Clark we know, the one who's been recognized for her grit and talent, not her race. But what if this whole privilege conversation is just a distraction?
She's bringing in brand deals that are funneling millions of dollars into the WNBA. Her teammates are now flying private because of the brand deals and the money that Caitlin Clark has brought into the team.
What if Caitlin didn't need to apologize for something that has no bearing on her actual journey in basketball? When we look at her influence, from bringing in huge sponsorship deals to boosting the WNBA's popularity, it's clear that Caitlin's impact is about talent, not race. She's elevating the game by just being herself, and honestly, that's enough. So why throw this privilege talk into the mix now? Let's dive deeper into this controversial statement and whether it's really necessary.
But the WNBA was leaning a lot on identity politics, talking about race, talking about womanhood, saying that they should make just as much money as NBA players and really spinning this feminist narrative. People have an aversion to this. And Caitlin Clark was a star that really showed up with just true merit and value.
Caitlin Clark's recent comment about white privilege has left many of us scratching our heads. She says, as a white person, there is privilege, and acknowledges that the WNBA has been built on the efforts of black women. But let's pause and think for a second. Does Caitlin truly owe an apology for something she had no hand in? Her rise to stardom is a testament to her exceptional skills, hard work, and the undeniable talent that has made her a household name in both college basketball and now the WNBA.
The merit, which she says, I've earned every single thing, but a little bit of like privilege sprinkled on top. And we weren't expecting this from Caitlin.
Her statement, while well-meaning, seems to undermine everything she's worked for. It's crucial to remember that Caitlin Clark's success in basketball has always been about merit. She didn't get to where she is by luck or handouts. She earned it by putting in countless hours of work on the court, from her impressive college career at Iowa to becoming the #1 first overall pick in the WNBA draft. Caitlin's journey has been one of perseverance, dedication, and skill. Her recognition as Times Athlete of the Year wasn't because of her race, but because of the undeniable mark she's made on the sport. So why does she feel compelled to draw attention to her race at this point in her career?
Tell me when the last time all these players been in the league all this time. Yes. You name all the prominent players. Tell me the time the WNBA has had this much buzz. I'll wait. Everybody in the chat that y'all was saying, oh, these women been in the league before Caitlin Clark and Angel Reese. Tell me the time they had this much buzz. Tell me the time they had this many eyes on the draft. Tell me this many times they had watching WNBA preseason game. I'm just waiting. Go ahead, go ahead, chat. Take off.
While Caitlyn is acknowledging the historical significance of black women in the WNBA, this comment raises the question, is her success really tied to her race in the same way it's often framed for others? Caitlyn's rise didn't come from racial favoritism. It came from dominating the game in ways that only a few can. She's battled fierce competitors, players like Aja Wilson and Angel Reese, who are undeniably talented but have never hesitated to make their disdain for Caitlyn's success known. And yet, here's Caitlyn, who, despite not being a black woman in a black-dominated sport, finds herself feeling the need to apologize for her race. It almost feels like an unnecessary sacrifice to the current climate of political correctness, where even the most accomplished individuals feel pressured to fit into a narrative that's been handed to them. Another aspect to consider is Caitlyn's own acknowledgement of how far the league has come, especially with the success of black athletes in the WNBA. But again, Caitlyn's recognition of the league's foundation in the contributions of black women doesn't make her success less valid or less deserved. The league is made stronger by the diversity of its athletes, but that diversity doesn't define Caitlyn's worth or accomplishments. She was drafted as the number one pick for a reason. Her talent was undeniable. If anything, Caitlyn has been a bridge between the WNBA's past and future, bringing new attention to a league that many people outside the basketball world didn't even know existed. Her presence alone has led to increased viewership, sponsorships, and even NBA teams opening their doors to host WNBA games, thanks to Caitlyn's star power.
There is a lot of appropriate attention on Caitlin Clark and the Indiana Fever, and we found out that the Fever Storm game from over the weekend drew 2.2 million viewers, which is massive. The WNBA has 18 games this season where they've had more than 1 million viewers average, and 16 of those 18 have featured Caitlin Clark. So you cannot deny the connectivity of Caitlin Clark playing basketball and people wanting to watch. If she's playing, they will come, they will watch the game.
Caitlyn's acknowledgement of her white privilege also raises a critical point about how race is so often used to explain success in the sports world today. Do black athletes like Aja Wilson, Angel Reese, and others succeed because of their race or because of their incredible talent? The truth is, race does not define greatness. It's the individual's commitment to their craft. For Caitlin Clark and for every player on that court, race shouldn't be the headline. It's their skill, effort, and the relentless drive to be the best that should dominate the narrative. So when Caitlin says the WNBA has been built on black women, it inadvertently shifts the focus from the merit of the athletes themselves to a divisive and oversimplified conversation about race. By stepping into this conversation, Caitlyn has added another layer of complexity to her already accomplished career. While her intentions might have been to show respect and awareness of the historical context of the WNBA, the way she frames her success in the context of white privilege risks diminishing the very merit that got her where she is today. It also creates a situation where she might be perceived as apologizing for something she shouldn't need to apologize for: her race. Rather than letting her basketball performance speak for itself, she's now placed her success under a microscope, where it's not just about what she's done, but about how others perceive her success through a racial lens.
Caitlin Clark may not win titles, but the fact that she's doing what she's doing and at a very high level, it's now commonplace where she'll go for 26 and 12. I mean, those are great numbers for any player, no matter how long you've been in the league.
Caitlin Clark's journey to the top of basketball has always been about merit. From her early days on the court, she proved herself not by conforming to expectations or leaning into a specific racial narrative, but by demonstrating unparalleled skill, intelligence, and work ethic. It's easy to forget that her rise wasn't an easy road, especially when you look at her accomplishments. Caitlin wasn't handed a spot in the WNBA because of her skin color or any racial advantage. She earned it through years of dedication, both on and off the court. Let's break down what Caitlin Clark has achieved. First, as one of the most dominant forces in college basketball history, she shattered records, rewrote the narrative for women's sports, and carried the Iowa Hawkeyes to national prominence. Her highlight reel performances in March Madness were nothing short of spectacular, making her a household name. She was then drafted as the first overall pick in the 2023 WNBA draft, a testament to her undeniable skill. This wasn't a decision based on tokenism or sympathy for her race. It was a decision based on her ability to dominate the court, her leadership, and her drive to win.
Caitlin Clark now has the rookie record, the history of the WNBA. She's now going to try to set the all-time record, but 12 games to go.
Caitlin Clark has done is grown the WNBA exponentially. She did in 5 weeks what would have taken 5 years. And as it pertains to draft viewership, she did in 5 days what would have taken 5 years.
If we examine the broader WNBA landscape, we see that Caitlin Clark's success wasn't an outlier. It was the result of a system where talent is the true driving force. The WNBA, with its rich history and vibrant mix of players, is a league that thrives on the ability of its athletes to perform at the highest level. Caitlin Clark's talent is a significant factor in the league's growing popularity. Before her, the WNBA was already home to some of the most incredible athletes in the world. Players like Diana Taurasi, Sue Bird, and Maya Moore, who led the charge in showcasing women's basketball. These players didn't owe their success to their race. They owed it to their undeniable talent, leadership, and their ability to connect with fans. Caitlin Clark has now joined that ranks, proving that in sports, skill and drive are the ultimate equalizers. Now, let's talk about her impact on the WNBA's viewership and the wider basketball community. Caitlin Clark has helped bridge the gap between women's and men's basketball in a way that few athletes have. The league's viewership numbers have surged, NBA stadiums have opened their doors to host WNBA games, and brands are investing millions in sponsorship deals, all because Caitlin Clark brought a new energy and level of visibility to the game. This wasn't a matter of privilege, this was the result of someone taking the sport seriously, pushing the boundaries of what was thought possible and inspiring an entirely new generation of fans. If we look at the numbers, the WNBA has seen an uptick in interest that directly correlates with Caitlin Clark's rise. This is no coincidence. Her skill set and presence on the court are drawing attention to a league that has struggled to gain mainstream recognition in the past. Caitlin's success and the attention she brings to the game transcend race.
No one cares what skin color you are. You know what America loves? Let me break it down for you. We absolutely love one thing. You know what it is? Underdogs. We don't care about your color. We don't care if you're married, single, divorced. We don't care about anything. We love humble underdogs. We just do.
It's also important to recognize how Caitlin's success benefits her teammates, many of whom are black. Her ability to elevate the team as a whole has translated into tangible benefits for the entire Indiana Fever roster. From increased media exposure to greater sponsorship deals, Caitlin's presence alone has had a profound effect on the financial and cultural aspects of the league. If Caitlin's success were based on her race or any form of privilege, it wouldn't be her talent alone that elevates the team. It would be something far more superficial. Instead, we're seeing that her excellence as a player and her leadership both on and off the court are directly contributing to the growth and visibility of the entire league. This is a clear reflection of the merit-based system that defines the WNBA. To further illustrate this point, consider Caitlin's rookie season in the WNBA. Not only did she play at a level that put her on par with veterans, but she also did so in a way that commanded respect from all sides. Her performances weren't about making a statement on race, they were about playing basketball at the highest level. Whether it was draining three-pointers, making precise passes, or playing gritty defense, Caitlin proved time and again that she was there because of her abilities. In fact, Caitlin's presence has only further cemented the idea that the WNBA is a league for those who can truly perform, regardless of their background.
So she spoke out against that. She got people paid. She got better travel arrangements. She increased the ratings and the revenue, which obviously the WNBA benefited exponentially because now you got a $200 million deal. All of these things being considered, you damn right. It is appropriate that she got Athlete of the Year. She is special.
In contrast to this merit-driven success, Caitlin's comments about white privilege cast a shadow on the clear narrative of her achievements. While it's admirable to acknowledge the contributions of black athletes in the WNBA, Caitlin shouldn't feel compelled to apologize or second-guess her own hard-earned accomplishments. Her success has always been rooted in her skill, and that should remain the focal point of her story. Caitlin Clark is in the WNBA because she is an elite basketball player, not because of her race or any form of privilege. And the sooner we stop framing her career through a racial lens, the sooner we can fully appreciate her for the incredible player and leader that she is. Caitlin Clark's acknowledgement of white privilege has sparked a much-needed conversation about race and privilege in the sports world, but let's take a closer look at what that really means. In her statement, Caitlin reflects on the historical contributions of black athletes to the WNBA, which is undeniable. Black women have absolutely shaped the league and propelled it forward. However, by focusing on her own race and privilege, Caitlin inadvertently shifts the conversation away from her actual achievements and places an unnecessary emphasis on something that hasn't been a barrier to her success. Let's be clear, race plays a role in society's perception of athletes, especially in predominantly black sports like basketball. But Caitlin's rise in the WNBA has always been about her talent, not about navigating racial challenges that her black peers might face. While acknowledging the success of black players is important, Caitlin's comments raise the question, is there a point where the focus on race detracts from the merit that an athlete brings to the table? In her case, the answer is no. Her success has been built purely on her hard work and skills. It's also important to remember that Caitlin's success doesn't diminish or overshadow the accomplishments of black athletes in the WNBA. The two can coexist. The more we lean into the narrative of privilege, the more we risk overshadowing the fact that basketball is about performance, not about who has it easier or harder. Caitlin Clark's place in the league is the result of her undeniable talent, not the result of any racial advantages. By continuing to reinforce that narrative, we risk undermining the value of athletes like Caitlin, whose merit should stand as the defining factor of their success.
Is box office. She is a star. And Angel Reese is to be completely believed that there's no hate. They both get along. They're cool with each other. They're high-end competitors, etc., etc.
In a league like the WNBA, where diverse athletes come from all walks of life, it's important to remember that success is not a matter of race, but of skill, dedication, and leadership. Caitlin Clark's place in the WNBA should be celebrated for those reasons, not bogged down by unnecessary discussions about race and privilege. Ultimately, the WNBA and sports in general should be a place where players are recognized for what they bring to the game, regardless of the color of their skin. Caitlin Clark's acknowledgement of white privilege, while a thoughtful reflection, shouldn't overshadow the undeniable truth. Her success is built on talent, hard work, and dedication. Her achievements in the WNBA and college basketball speak volumes, and they're a result of her incredible skill and passion for the game, not her race. Rather than getting caught up in the debate over race and privilege, let's focus on what truly matters. Caitlin's impact on the sport. She's redefined women's basketball and inspired countless fans along the way. The narrative should be about her extraordinary contributions to the game, not divisive rhetoric. In the end, Caitlin Clark's legacy will be defined by her incredible performances and the doors she's opened for future generations of athletes, regardless of race. Let's celebrate her greatness and continue to support the athletes who are shaping the future of sports. If you're ready to dive into the latest and greatest moments in women's basketball, you're in the right place. Here on WNBA Original, we cover everything from breaking news to inspiring stories, bringing you closer to the action and the players who make it all happen. Don't forget to hit subscribe and turn on notifications, so you'll always be the first to know what's happening on and off the court. Thanks for watching, and stay tuned for more from WNBA Original.